Providence University, and I read mineral engineering. And I've spanned across West Africa and the world. Some of my colleagues here knows me, and it's on the dint of hard work. And as I share this presentation, there's a lot to pick from. It's not just the classroom. It is what you tap, what you learn from the classroom, what you tap, and how you can progress with it and be more aggressive, and you must persevere to make sure that you can tap the knowledge. Mining today, and we'll talk about technology. In our time, technology was less. But today, we don't need to work hard, but we have to work smart. Hence, the technology-based application coming in to ensure that we can manage the region, which is full of minerals, in the race that we have to build what? Talent base. The other area is our ESG-driven formalization. Obviously, you all know what is ESG. And what is contributing to that is the pressure from buyers for responsible sourcing, professionalism, artisanal and small-scale mining, which has sprung up lately, which is creating demand for our governments and compliance skills as well. Now, in this presentation, I did source from the World Economic Forum, which was held in 2020 in the International Labour Organization. And I'll touch on the skills gap by the numbers, okay? And why the skills gap? In this research that I made and into this presentation that I'm sharing, is to unearth the problem, okay? And it says that 15 to 30-year-olds says they will probably or definitely not consider mining career, and that constitutes about 70%. Okay, and this is very West. I mean, if you look at the industry today, if this is surveyed, okay, 57% of mining companies cite the inability to even attract specialized talent as the single biggest barrier, okay, when it comes to adapting what? Technology and the new ones that are yet to come. And 14% of mining jobs worldwide, okay, are held by women. And we're talking of gender balance here. And I'm happy to see today, in my time, we had one mining female, first Ghanaian mining engineer in the year 1992. The only female. She's a vice president now with a company in I think Asanko Gold Mine. She spent all her time in Newmont and in Canada. And I think she's based in Canada now. Today, the school or the university has produced so many, and it's even worldwide looking at 14%, and we want to make sure that gender balance is made. So it's also part of the skill gaps that we need to, or I'm referring to by the numbers. And this is the problem. This is the problem. Now, if you have a problem, then we need to zoom into what? The root cause. So why the gaps, or why the gap keeps what? Widening, and we want to what? Shrink that gap. So areas to look at is the education in the industry, the experience and the time that it takes to build that experience. We will also talk about the brain drain to other jurisdictions. These days, when we complete and we say we find it difficult to get jobs, we try to move out, but the jobs are here, and I don't think it's difficult finding jobs. So this will help you to understand the context, how to bridge the gap, in the WAIMM sector whilst as a student, and when you come out as a student and you enter the industry, and how you grow yourselves. And also we'll talk about the informal sector dominance. So in the education aspect of it, we say industry-based match, and obviously we're looking at our curricula in the university and our TVET institutes, which is lagging behind our operational and digital realities in today's mind. Today's minds are going digital in our operations. They're going smart. We have mining areas that you can stay in Accra, okay, and operate in the mine in Pristia. You can stay anywhere and operate. Yes, some you have to be there. Even underground operations, we even going remotely these days, okay? And it's all about connectivity, it's all about that digital space. So this is one of the root causes, and we need to what? Match the trend of the times, okay? I'll take you back a while. And Pristia Mines was a state gold mine. At a point in time, it wasn't meeting the then challenge. A lot of things comes to play when it comes to mining. You learn what you call mine economics, not just the skills in the mining. And a mine will only be profitable when the economics looks good. Okay, because it's expensive to put money into mining. You can, when you go to some of the mines, they mine big volumes of material from the ground and process to get a small 25 kilo bar. And a lot of money goes into it, from mining to the processing, even from the exploration stage, etc. Wow. Okay, so and the story of the Pristia at a point in time, because of technology advancement, because of changes, couldn't meet, and the economics wasn't looking good. So as we progress in technology, we also need to be smart so that the mine can sustain. Those days you used to mine, I mean, obviously, as you are in the mining space, you mine all that is economically viable to what? Pay the bills. And it boils down to what? The grade of the ore. And today we are mining even lower grades, which is what? Profitable. And it's because of what? Technology advancement. Those days, all those ore was what? Tailings or waste that we didn't mine. These days, it is being treated. The next one is the experience that I talked about. We earn our degrees quickly. It's easy to earn if you are smart, but the quality mentoring which you need from people like us, and the supervisory skills, okay, with experienced engineers to become professional engineers is what you need, or we need, and that takes what? Time. It doesn't take longer time, but it comes as you go along. So this is something that I'll share with you to take along, okay? So you need that time to build experience. You can have your degree, but you must be able to execute it if you've got that learning capability, because it's not that different between the acquiring the degree, but the execution is the most important and how you play it. The brain drain to other regions I mentioned. Our graduates, mining hubs all over the world, people are moving out for better resource sectors, okay, which is basically shrinking the local talent pipeline that we want to build. And why are we moving out? So if we can resource our region and we make sure that we have the talent pool, then we can have what? We can close all these root causes so that we shrink the gap but not make the gap wide. The informal sector, we've talked about the artisanal and small scale mining, which is even employing far more people than the formal sector. What does it take after sharing with all this, with all that I've mentioned? When we talk about the risk, if we don't close the gap, what I mean here is that our engineers, mining, geology, metallurgical engineers, exploration people, even management, okay, we are already in a, I call it chronic. Why chronic? And we need to take that word carefully. We are in a chronic undersupply across this West African space. We are left unaddressed, and the gaps becomes a structural ceiling on our growth. Okay, so it is critical for us. We already have our minerals booming like lithium, bauxite. We have bauxite in Ahine, which is untapped, which can go for over 150 years. We have that of Awaso, which still has life, okay, over more than close to over 70 years to go. Our slower adoption of automation and safety technology on site, because when it comes to mining, we must be precision. These days, because of the codes that we are obliged to, in the past, there's a lot of incidents due to unsafe acts. But these days, we want to make sure we have responsible mining, that we make sure that we can mine in risk-based areas, and make sure that we've got that technological backing, that we don't end up having incidents, having fatalities. So hence, we have all the regulatory guidelines in place to ensure that our mining is top-notch. There's also continued reliance on costly, bringing expertise from outside, especially underground operations, which we have the skills as well, instrumentations and process control applications, where it's a gray area that we need to focus on as well. And I think the university, and with the WAIMM sector and the Minerals Commission, is forcing and ensuring that we have this capacity base to meet the trend of the time. We've touched on ESG as well, which is also an area of sourcing standard that is demanded by the global buyers. So on the flip side, for our regional opportunity, what I'll say is that the global shortage in critical technical skills does make things difficult right now, but it presents great opportunities as well for we, the young professionals in the region. And I think I throw this challenge that it shouldn't be a shortage, but we can grow the technical skills. Okay, so we need to close the gap within the West African national space, and that will help us on our new technical parts, management roles, supervisory roles, governance as well, to make sure that we are covered. Now go to the strategic response after seeing all these gaps. It's 3 pillars that I will mention on to accelerate young professional development: the strategic mentorship, the technological advancements, and the professional development. So the pillar 1, which is a strategic mentorship, what are we trying to say here? We're looking at structured pairing with reaching milestones which should be time bound, and then also our knowledge sharing across borders. Again, as I said earlier on, qualifications can be earned, and we can earn it so quick, but the professional judgment is built through what? Structured guidance from experienced engineers and our geoscientists. Okay, we need formal mentorship, and that will shorten the path from our graduates to what? Trusted decision makers. So when you are put into position, if you have a mentor, and which I would advise that you make sure, we had mentors, and I even still do have a mentor at this age, because we learn every day. Every day we learn, and we need to what? Share. So learning and sharing is equally important. So as you come into the space, we need to give you what? Guidance, and hence the networking this morning. And I'll urge that before some of us leave here, let's make sure what? We get to know ourselves, so that not necessarily George Newton, we have so many experienced professionals in Ghana, and you can reach out to them so that we beef you up to take over and grow and make sure we are covered in this space. Okay, hence the structured pairing approach, so that we can match professionals, young ones, to senior engineers, and in all facets of mining, cutting across from geology to mine management, processing, etc., engineering, and these days IT-based, which is also applicable. And we need to do this in all these time-bound areas to make sure that we can call ourselves what? Professional engineers. And even to the point that we even have what? Engineer of records. If you are certified, then you can sign off and be confident that you've checked everything, and you are capable to what? Stamp, which we have people in the, or professionals already, and we need to close these gaps as well. The other one is basically rotating professionals in the region that I will share with you, Mr. Omari, if this can be looked at as well. The second pillar is the technological advancement, and it's also about digital operations training, the AI these days, which is very, very helpful, and automation, which we need to grow in our space. We cannot rule this out, okay? Digital tools in any way cannot replace experience, but they can, however, accelerate how quickly the young professionals can build it. In our time, there wasn't that digital or technological space. If it is today, it is very helpful, and I've seen it, and we need to what? Merge that as well. So which makes mines what? Safer and more attractive to the next generation of talent. The brain drain, or people don't want to go, if you look at the statistics that I shared earlier on, it's because of the fear factor. Going underground. It's just like sitting in a plane, also flying in space. That the one who doesn't know will take it for the fact that the plane will just drop off, and then what? So it's not safe. Mining underground is very, very safe. So it's not challenging at all. And this is what I'm talking about. So we welcome that technological advancement. And then the third pillar is the professional development. Okay? We want to build durable pathways in career development. Okay? Not one-off training events. And this comes with working with experienced people. So you need to, and the three main pillars here is about accreditation that must be well recognized, the leadership exposure, which you must be exposed, which you are doing now. You heard it in the first presentation from our able Mr. Lawrence Omari Mensah about the growing of people. Okay, so that leadership exposure, we need to attend programs. You must be exposed to seminars where you meet great people, researchers coming from our institutions and other institutions. What has been the impact to mining and to the society, and then the inclusion in design as well. Okay, which I've touched on earlier on. I mean, we need to widen that pipeline, including the gender balance. I mean, if we hold 40% of mining roles when it comes to gender balance, then it's basically not the best. We need to what? Unearth this local talent. So, the three pillars that I've mentioned will reinforce each other by what? Strategic mentorship, employing the technological advancement as I've mentioned, and then what? Growing our professionals to ensure that we grow to meet and be sure that we are applying what? The engineering of mining in today's space, okay? I put a, how do you call it, a wording there which says a young professional's career is gaining supervised experience, which is mentorship, practicing with digital tools, which is the technology, and earning recognized credentials, which is the development. And it goes not just that, but it has to be what? Recycled. It must be repeated. So it doesn't stop. There's enough minerals in the region, and then we need to grow people to make sure that we integrate these pillars to reinforce each other and make sure that we get a joy in mining. On the regional scale, we've already built momentum and building across the region, and I will urge that we encourage ourselves in attending seminars. In Ghana practice building, we look at international engineering firms as well, growing the Ghana-based practices, specialized tailings and geotechnical expertise from some professionals to younger cohorts, the TVET application, which is another industry partnership, and critical minerals expansion, the new lithium, bauxite, and other fresh categories that are coming up, processing and support for new generation to grow on and on and on. Now the outcome is we need to measure on what, when we're able to let this happen successfully. It's the time to competency, the local content ratio, the gender diversity, and the retention and mobility. When we put all this together, we wouldn't have the brain drain. Yes, we are needed out there, but we need to what? Ensure in the West African region we have the potentials so that when we cover out there, then we can challenge out there. Because if you go out to some of the West African space, we are falling behind. We don't have the expertise. And in Ghana, we are fortunate that mining has evolved so many years ago, and now we need to apply the technology to make it a cutting-edge mining technology application. On this note, to this presentation, I would like to conclude by saying that when we invest in people, deliberately, we invest in what? The ore. If we don't invest in people, then we cannot invest in the ore by what? Making the ore economically viable to help meet our economic gains. So the minerals beneath West Africa's soil will only translate into lasting prosperity if the region is built on what? The engineers, the geologists, the technical leaders to responsibly develop them. And this must come with what? Strategic mentorship, the technology and professional development, which will close the gap together. And on this note, I will say this is a call to action to this presentation and to share with you, so that not necessarily today's seminar, okay, and from all sectors of the country, but along the West African space. And it's a challenge to the institution, WAIMM, and then this presentation is available, whereby I will indulge that we take and grow people into it. I would like to thank you very much for listening to this presentation. Okay, and we need to take it out to the chair. Thank you.
Invest in people as deliberately as we invest in ore.
Hello?
Mr. George Nito. Mr. George Nito, thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. Please, I think he deserves more clap. In his presentation, he made mention of three pillars, and I would like to ask, who remembers the three pillars that Mr. George Nito mentioned? The pillars to accelerate development, young professional development. Yes. Clap for him. So please, let's keep this in mind. We'll move on with our next speaker. I'll call on Ms. Irabna to introduce our next speaker. Let's welcome Ms. Irabna. Let's clap for her as she comes. Yes, Ms. Irabna is our co-MC for today.
Thank you very much. So, just as he had mentioned, the next speaker is Gordon Asian. And Gordon Asian is currently the senior consultant at Luso Global Mining. And currently, he has over 2 decades of experience in the mining industry and continues to be one of the strong people that shape mining currently. Also, he has had previous leadership roles at Future Global Resources, where he was involved in managing exploration programs, delivering NI 43101 resource and reserve models. And also with leveraging expertise in regulatory compliance, methods engineering, he contributes to projects that prioritize collaboration, industry standards, and sustainable outcomes. So with all these said, let's give a round of applause to our next speaker, Mr. Gordon Asian, as he joins us here and shares these interesting insights with us. Let's continue to clap for him as he gets to the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam MC. And good afternoon, everyone. As he mentioned, the name goes, Gordon Asian is my name. He mentioned other companies that we're consulting for, but my company in Ghana is what is shown on the board. It's called Geo Minerals and Investment Consult. We are into feasibility work. We also do EIS, EIA, environmental stuff, and other mining consulting. Yeah. I don't want to bother you so much with titles and narrations on it, but I've come here to provoke your thoughts on topical issues that are running in our mining industry today. And I'm sure very well that we have all heard about resource ownership for Ghanaians. And this has generated a lot of debate across the industry. And these debates are reshaped into 2 thoughts, and that's what I've seen. There are 2 thoughts that I've seen. One thought believe that Ghanaians, we must own all our natural resources now. And they mean now. The other thoughts believe that we need to go through the process to own our resources over a time. Now, if I look at these 2 thoughts, 2 debates that are ongoing, and that's why I said I'm provoking your thoughts as students of the industry, so that by the time you leave here, one of you will take one side, whether we're supposed to take our resources now, another side will take other. We have to go through a process of owning our resources as Ghanaians. And let me even escalate it as West Africans, because we are in WAIMM. So my topic is to re-engineering our capital markets for mining projects. But just to tell you, the argument that I'm talking about, Gordon, I'm on the side of going through the process for us to own our resources and not to take it over now. Let me just throw this one out to you. I'm sure we heard about Greening Ghana project. So there's a Greening Ghana project. If you really want to green Ghana, that project should have started 20 years ago, but now we see Ghana green. The second opportunity for us to green Ghana is now. And if you have to green Ghana now, I'm not sure that we'll go to Amazon rainforest and go and plug out the big trees and come and plant them in Ghana here. We'll definitely have to grow our trees from day one, plant our seedlings, and grow them to green Ghana. This is just, by the way, it's a thought that I'm just putting across for people to think through these two arguments that we are having it in the country now. So we have a saying, and the geologists here will bear with me that we say that resources are not, resources become. And how does resources become? They become through investment with money, investment with human resources, and investment with technical people like the geos, the metallurgists, the engineers. So people, before we see our resources that we talk about, at Ghana we produce 5.7 million ounces in a year, it took an investment of people for us to get to that point. And that is where I want us to move. So what I'm saying is, here, we need an unlocking sustainable financing for our resource development in Ghana. Just to give you an introduction, the importance of mining to the Ghana economy. Those who read wide will understand that mining contributes plus 8% to our national GDP. Our boss George here has been at the chamber, so he knows what we're talking about, the contribution that mining has done to this country. And in terms of a foreign exchange, we contribute almost 40% to our foreign exchange to the country. This is very, very significant. And I was reading an article this morning, which is posted on WAIMM platform by Joy Online, which talks about from the beginning of this year up to June, mining has contributed close to 18 billion US dollars in terms of foreign exchange revenue to the country, which even goes more than the 40% that we posted in 2025. Because now this 18 billion, if we calculate it with what we have as a country as a foreign income for the year, for the half year, it's almost 60% of what foreign exchange that has come to the country. Now, our current capital, that's where the student we need to take it. Our current capital market has got limitations. And the limitations that it has is that much of the fund managers in this country, they cannot, and it's in the regulation. If you look at the LI 1695, which is 2001 Regulation 39, which controls the unit trust and the mutual fund. I'm sure we've all heard about the mutual funds, the unit trust funds. They collect our monies and use it for investment. It is categorically clear in that fund management that they cannot invest in the commodity area. The commodity, I'm talking about the gold, your bauxite. So these monies that are being collected by the companies that we know, I don't want to mention it, but you talk about, Data Bank, Unit Trust Bank, all them, the money that they're taking, they cannot invest it into our commodity industry. This is by law. And our Security and Exchange Commission, they are the guys controlling these areas. However, let me set one example to you. I'm sure we have all heard about Cardinal Resources. Cardinal Resources was initially owned by an Australian company. And they were using a mutual fund in Australia to acquire Cardinal Resources. They acquired the resources almost like half what we produce in Ghana here. We are rich in other minerals. Talk about bauxite. There are other bauxite deposits that we've not even touched them. The Hinahini one is there. There are also Block 1, Block 2, Block 3, Block 4. These are huge deposits, millions and billions of tons that are still there for us to mine. We got manganese here in Takwa at Insuta. We have recently discovered lithium. And just for your information, there are more lithium discoveries that are coming. About 2 months ago, I visited a project where my company was contacted to visit a project for a lithium exploration. And the evidence that we found on the ground is far more than what Atlantic Lithium is even looking at. So there are more lithium to be discovered in Ghana than what we have heard and seen so far. And that gives hopes to you, the student, especially the young geos who want to go into exploration. There are a lot of these minerals that are there for us to go in. Iron ore, I don't know if you've heard about it. There are recent bid that was given out by Minerals Commission for companies to, bid for iron ore in the Volta region, Oti region. It's also another huge deposit with high-grade iron ore there, and we have to explore and discover and start exploring for the iron ore. So the country is rich in all these minerals. Then recently we heard about the revival of the Black Volta resources, which a Ghanaian company took over. These are all very, good. That shows the Ghana landscape, mining landscape, to be very, very vibrant, and it's moving and doing well. And still we have high potential for growth in the industry. There are areas in our gold belts that has not been touched. And people have just taken concession and sitting on it, they have not touched anything. If you look at the Bui Belt, I don't know if we have, I'm sure we are all in the industry, we know about the Bui Belt. No mining company is on the Bui Belt, but it's another high potential area for exploration. So recently, about 4 months ago, I was in Côte d'Ivoire, and the Bui Belt extends beyond Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire. So just right at the border between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, there is a company, Endeavor, which is on the blue belt, and there's a company which shares boundary with Endeavour. They have made a discovery. They are a Canadian-listed company. They have made a 5 million ounce discovery just right at the border, which tells us as Ghanaians, as we hear that, because the chunk of that belt goes into Ghana. So we still have a lot of minerals for gold that we have to discover. And these are all high potential for us to, put it in. So where am I dragging my argument to is that we still need to mobilize funding here in Ghana just to take charge of these companies. And we have the capacity in Ghana to do that. So some of the challenges that are facing our mining projects, and as we've heard, mining is a high-risk enterprise. It's not cheap to do exploration because in exploration budget, for you to get a large-scale mine, your minimum that you can talk of is probably $10 million US. These monies are not cheap to come by. So it's high risk, and I understand why our regulators didn't want our fund managers to go in it, because you can spend the $10 million and make zero discovery. You can also spend the $10 million and make 500% folds of it. So these are risks, and because our fund managers, they don't understand the risk in the industry, nobody wants to venture in there. What we are missing is that we have UMAT, we have institutions, mining institutions here, who can help our banks, who can help our financial institutions to de-risk some of these projects so that they can comfortably invest in it. But when you go there, they only have accountants, financial guys, clerks and stuff. They don't want to employ the mining engineers. They don't want to employ the geologists. They don't want to employ the metallurgists, who will be able to help these banks and the financial institutions to de-risk some of the projects so that they can invest in it. Then we can own these companies within the country. So, I've known UMAT also started doing some bit of finance here at UMAT. So soon we'll have mining engineers who also got a lot of financial background. Like myself, I went to UMAT to do geology, and I came back to UMAT to do finance and investment in my master's level. So I've got a bit of finance, and that's why I'm talking about financial capital markets. And yeah, it's not common for geologists to talk about finance, because all we know is about the rocks. Yeah, but I'm trying to diversify and get some bit of finance in it. Yeah. The other thing is the complex regulatory and tax regime in Ghana. I tell you,